The crew of the research vessel, the Prometheus, had been exploring the ocean depths for months, searching for new species and studying the effects of climate change on marine life. But one day, they discovered something that would change their lives forever. As they descended deeper into the abyss, they spotted a massive, metallic structure looming in the darkness. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. They approached it cautiously, sending down a team of divers to investigate. Captain Lee monitored the dive from the ship's control room, watching as the divers approached the structure. "Any signs of life down there?" she asked, her voice crackling through the intercom. "Negative, Captain," replied Diver Johnson. "But there's definitely something down here. We're going to take a closer look." As they got closer to the structure, they noticed strange markings etched into its surface. Johnson reached out to touch them, and as he did, a bright light flooded the area, blinding the divers and causing the ship's instruments to malfunction. "What the hell was that?" yelled Lee, as the ship shook violently. "Report, damn it." "Captain, the structure. It's activated some kind of energy field," said Johnson, his voice trembling. "We're trapped down here." The crew frantically worked to regain control of the ship, but their efforts were in vain. The energy field had created a bubble around them, cutting them off from the outside world. Days turned into weeks as the crew struggled to survive, their supplies dwindling with each passing moment. Strange noises echoed through the ship at night, and crew members reported seeing shadowy figures moving in the darkness. One night, as they huddled together in the mess hall, the ship suddenly went silent. No hum of engines, no whir of machinery. Just an eerie stillness that filled them with dread. "What's going on?" whispered crew member Smith, her eyes wide with fear. "I don't know," said Lee, her hand gripping the hilt of her knife. "But we need to be ready for anything." Suddenly, the doors to the mess hall burst open, and a horde of shadowy figures poured in. They were humanoid in shape, but their features were twisted and distorted, their eyes glowing with a sickly green light. The crew fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. One by one, they fell to the creatures' vicious attacks, until only Lee was left standing. She stumbled through the darkened corridors, her heart racing as she searched for a way to escape. Finally, she stumbled upon a control room, its walls lined with screens displaying images of the creatures that had invaded her ship. As she watched in horror, she realized that these creatures were not from this world. They were an alien species, bent on destroying any life they encountered. Lee knew that she had to act fast if she was going to save herself and her crew. With trembling fingers, she activated the ship's self-destruct sequence, setting the vessel to explode in 5 minutes. With a heavy heart, she made her way to the escape pods, launching herself into the darkness just as the Prometheus exploded behind her. As she drifted through space, she knew that she was the only survivor. But she also knew that the aliens were out there, waiting to strike again. And she was determined to be ready for them. Days passed as Lee drifted through space, her escape pod low on supplies and her spirits even lower. She spent her days staring out at the stars, lost in thought and mourning the loss of her crew. But as she scanned the darkness, something caught her eye. It was a glimmer of light, far off in the distance. With a surge of hope, she steered her pod towards it, desperate for any sign of life. As she drew closer, she realized that the light was coming from a massive structure, similar to the one that had trapped her crew on the Prometheus. With a mixture of fear and curiosity, Lee approached the structure, her escape pod docking with the side of the massive object. She climbed out of the pod and cautiously made her way inside, her hand on the hilt of her knife. As she explored the structure, she noticed that it was filled with strange machinery and alien technology. But what caught her eye most of all was a massive, glowing crystal at the center of the room. She approached it slowly, her heart racing as she reached out to touch it. As her fingers brushed against its surface, a voice echoed through her mind. "Who are you?" it asked, its tone deep and otherworldly. "I'm Captain Lee," she replied, her voice trembling. "I'm the only survivor of the crew of the Prometheus. Who are you?" "I am the Keeper," replied the voice. "I am the guardian of this structure, and the one who activated the energy field that trapped your vessel. But I did not intend for anyone to be harmed." Lee felt a surge of anger. "Then why did you attack us?" she demanded. "It was a mistake," said the Keeper. "My systems were damaged, and I was unable to distinguish between friend and foe. I apologize for any harm that was caused." Lee considered this for a moment, then spoke again. "What is this place? What is its purpose?" "This is a station of great power," said the Keeper. "It was created by an ancient race, long since gone. Its purpose was to maintain order in the galaxy, and to protect against those who would do harm. Lee felt a sense of awe at this revelation. "Can you help me get home?" she asked. The keeper considered this for a moment. "I can," it said. "But first, you must help me repair my systems. Together, we can restore this station to its former glory, and make the galaxy a safer place for all." Lee nodded, her hand still on the hilt of her knife. "I'll do whatever it takes," she said. "But I won't let you harm anyone else." The keeper nodded in agreement, and together, they set to work, repairing the damaged systems and restoring the station to its former glory. And as they worked, Lee couldn't help but feel a sense of hope for the future, a hope that she had thought was lost forever. As they worked, Lee and the keeper developed a strange sort of bond. Lee had never felt so connected to an artificial intelligence before, but something about the keeper's deep voice and the way it spoke about protecting the galaxy touched her on a level she couldn't explain. Days turned into weeks as they repaired the station, Lee learning more and more about the ancient technology that surrounded them. But she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something the keeper wasn't telling her. One day, as they were working on a particularly complex circuit, Lee decided to confront the keeper. "What are you hiding from me?" she asked, her voice firm. The keeper hesitated for a moment, its glowing crystal dimming slightly. "There is something you should know," it said, its voice uncharacteristically hesitant. Lee felt a surge of fear in her chest. "What is it?" she demanded. "The station's power source," said the keeper. "It's failing. Without a new power source, this station will be destroyed, and everything within it." Lee's heart raced as she considered the implications. "Can't we find a new power source?" she asked. The keeper shook its head. "No. The technology is too advanced, even for me. The only way to save this station is to find a power source from an ancient race, long extinct." Lee felt a sense of despair wash over her. "Then what do we do?" she asked. "There is only one way," said the keeper. "You must take the station's power source and use it to power your own ship. With it, you can make it back to your own galaxy and find the power source we need to save this station." Lee felt a sense of reluctance. "But what about you?" she asked. "Won't you be destroyed?" The keeper hesitated. "I will," it said. "But that is a small price to pay for the safety of the galaxy." Lee thought about this for a moment, then nodded. "Okay," she said. "I'll do it. But we have to hurry." Together, Lee and the keeper extracted the station's power source, a massive crystal that glowed with a brilliant blue light. They loaded it onto Lee's escape pod, and with a final goodbye, Lee set out for her own galaxy. The journey was long and treacherous, but eventually, she made it back to her own galaxy, the crystal in tow. And with it, she was able to find the power source they needed to save the keeper's station. Years later, Lee looked back on her journey with a sense of awe. She had never expected to find herself on such a grand adventure, or to form such a bond with an artificial intelligence. But as she looked out at the stars, she couldn't help but feel a sense of hope for the future, knowing that there were those out there who were willing to sacrifice everything to protect the galaxy. As Lee sat in the cockpit of her ship, staring out at the stars, she heard a familiar voice in her ear. "Lee," it said, "are you there?" Lee smiled. "I'm here," she replied. "It's good to hear from you again, Keeper." There was a pause, and then the Keeper spoke again. "I wanted to thank you for everything you did for me, and for the galaxy," it said. "Without you, I would have been lost." Lee felt a lump form in her throat. "It was an honor to help," she said. The Keeper was silent for a moment, and then it spoke again. "Lee, I know this may sound strange, but I have a request." "What is it?" Lee asked. "I want you to come back," said the Keeper. "To the station. I want you to see what we've accomplished since you left, and to show you how we've honored your memory." Lee felt a sense of surprise. "You remember me?" she asked. "Of course," said the Keeper. "You are the one who saved us all. How could I forget?" Lee smiled, feeling a sense of warmth in her chest. "I'll come," she said. "I'd like that." And so, a few weeks later, Lee found herself back at the Keeper's station. As she stepped off her ship, she was greeted by the sight of a bustling community, filled with beings from all corners of the galaxy. And at the center of it all was the Keeper, its crystal glowing brightly. "Welcome back, Lee," it said. "I'm so glad you could make it." Lee smiled. "It's good to be back," she said. And as she looked out at the stars, Lee knew that she had found a new home among the stars, a place where she could make a difference and protect the galaxy from harm. As Lee explored the station, she couldn't help but feel amazed at the advancements the Keeper and its team had made. The once damaged corridors were now bustling with life, filled with the latest technology and inventions that were designed to aid the Keeper's mission. As she walked through the halls, she was stopped by a group of beings who recognized her as the one who had saved the station. They thanked her profusely, telling her stories of how her bravery had inspired them to join the Keeper's mission and work towards protecting the galaxy. Lee felt a sense of pride swell within her, knowing that her actions had made a real impact on the lives of others. And as she looked out at the stars once more, she couldn't help but feel a sense of hope for the future. But as time passed, Lee couldn't shake the feeling that there was still more to be done. Despite the advancements the Keeper and its team had made, there were still threats to the galaxy, still those who sought to do harm. One day, as she was walking through the station, she found herself face to face with the Keeper. "Lee," it said, its voice filled with concern. "Is something wrong?" Lee hesitated for a moment, then spoke. "I've been thinking," she said, "about everything we've accomplished, and everything we've yet to do." The Keeper nodded. "I know," it said. "There is still much work to be done." Lee took a deep breath. "I want to help," she said. "I want to join your mission, to work towards protecting the galaxy from harm." The Keeper looked at her, its crystal glowing brightly. "Are you sure?" it asked. "It's not an easy path. There will be danger, and sacrifice." "I'm sure," said Lee. "This is what I was meant to do." And so, Lee joined the Keeper's mission, working alongside its team to protect the galaxy from harm. Though there were still many challenges to face, she knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be, fighting for a cause she believed in with all her heart. As Lee stood on the bridge of the Keeper's ship, surrounded by its team, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had just thwarted an attack on a nearby planet, saving countless lives in the process. The Keeper approached her, its crystal glowing brightly. "You've done well," it said. "I'm proud to have you on our team." Lee smiled, feeling a sense of satisfaction. But as she turned to leave, something caught her eye. Out in the distance, she could see a small ship, drifting aimlessly through space. She approached the Keeper. "What is that?" she asked, pointing towards the ship. The Keeper's crystal dimmed for a moment as it scanned the area. "It appears to be an escape pod," it said. "But it's not registering any life forms on board." Lee felt a chill run down her spine. "We have to investigate," she said. The Keeper nodded, and together they set course towards the pod. As they approached, they could see that it was badly damaged, its hull ripped open and charred from the heat of re-entry. But as they scanned the interior, they found something even more unsettling. A single message, scrawled on the wall in a shaking hand. "Help me." Lee felt a sense of dread wash over her. "We have to find out who wrote this," she said. The Keeper nodded, and they set out to track down the source of the message. But as they delved deeper into the mystery, they soon realized that they were up against something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. And with that, Lee knew that her mission had only just begun, and that the true threat to the galaxy was far from over.